In the heart of a bustling city, Harold, a shy and humble night security guard at a massive corporate office, harbored a quiet secret. By day, he blended into the shadows, unnoticed by the corporate elite he served. But by night, he was the caretaker of something extraordinary, a lush, hidden rooftop garden that he had created piece by piece over the years. Welcome to Touching Tales, the channel where we bring you heartfelt stories of courage, kindness, and the power of the human spirit. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Now, let's dive into Harold's world, where a secret passion might just change everything. Harold Porter was the kind of man people rarely noticed. In his plain uniform, he quietly roamed the halls of the company's skyscraper each night, ensuring everything was in order. But his routine was anything but ordinary. Long after the last employee had left, Harold would climb the maintenance stairs to the building's rooftop, where an unexpected paradise awaited. Underneath the stars, the cold concrete rooftop was transformed. Rows of vibrant flowers, towering sunflowers, and leafy vegetables thrived under Harold's care. Lanterns crafted from recycled materials illuminated the space, casting a soft glow. The garden wasn't just Harold's escape, it was his lifeline. In a world where he felt invisible, this oasis was the one place where his efforts blossomed, literally and figuratively. Harold's journey as a gardener began years earlier, sparked by an act of kindness. A coworker had gifted him a packet of seeds on his birthday, saying, "Maybe these will grow something special." At the time, Harold thought it was a joke. What use did a security guard have for seeds? But he planted them on the barren rooftop out of curiosity, and soon, the tiny sprouts gave him a reason to keep going. Now, the garden had grown into a masterpiece, though no one at the company knew of its existence. Harold was careful to keep it that way, fearing it might be destroyed in the name of corporate policies or efficiency. One evening, Harold overheard a hushed conversation between two executives in the break room. The company was in trouble. Profits were plummeting, and layoffs were imminent. Harold's heart sank. Though he wasn't part of the office staff, he knew how much the employees relied on their jobs. It was a place filled with ambitious people chasing dreams, and he hated the thought of anyone losing hope. As Harold returned to his garden that night, the usually peaceful space felt heavy with uncertainty. He watered the plants with trembling hands, wondering if even his hidden paradise might soon be at risk. Unbeknownst to Harold, his secret sanctuary would soon be discovered, and it would set off a chain of events that no one, least of all Harold, could have predicted. It all started when a routine maintenance worker, Mark, was assigned to inspect the building's roof. Mark had been on the job for years but had never noticed Harold's garden, likely because it was tucked away in a corner, hidden from view. But that night, curiosity got the better of him, and Mark decided to explore the rooftop on a break. As he made his way through the overgrown plants, he couldn't help but marvel at the vibrant, hidden space Harold had cultivated. It was a beautiful contrast to the gray, lifeless office floors below. Mark snapped a few photos, intending to show his friends. But as fate would have it, one of the photos landed in the hands of Rachel Simmons, the ambitious CEO's assistant. Rachel was known for her no-nonsense attitude and sharp eye for detail. She was tasked with finding creative ways to cut costs at the company, and when she saw the pictures of the rooftop garden, she was intrigued. "That's unusual," Rachel said to herself, studying the images closely. A thought formed in her mind. What if this garden could be more than just a pretty escape? What if it could be the key to boosting company morale or even creating a buzz that might help save jobs? Rachel wasted no time bringing the photos to her boss, Edward Grant, the company's CEO. Edward was a man whose sharp business acumen had kept the company afloat for years, but now, with profits dropping and layoffs imminent, he was struggling to find a way out. This could be a public relations goldmine, Rachel suggested. Why not transform this hidden space into something that could improve employee wellness, or even a community outreach program? It might just turn things around. Edward looked at the photos, his brow furrowed. He wasn't sure how a garden could help with the financial crisis, but the idea of turning something so unconventional into a talking point intrigued him. He agreed to visit the rooftop the next morning to see it for himself. The next evening, as Harold climbed the rooftop stairs to tend to his plants, he felt an uneasy sense of foreboding. Something was off, but he couldn't quite place it. His suspicions were confirmed when he heard footsteps approaching from behind. He turned and saw Rachel Simmons, followed by a few other company executives, all staring at his garden in awe. Rachel stepped forward, a slight smile on her face. "Harold, isn't it?" she asked, her tone a mix of curiosity and authority. Harold nodded, surprised by the sudden appearance of the executives. "Yes, Ms. Simmons. I take care of the garden." Rachel's eyes sparkled as she looked around. "This is incredible, Harold. I had no idea we had such a beautiful space here. It's hidden, but it's like a little piece of nature amidst all the chaos." Harold felt his heart race. He had always kept his garden a secret, and now, it was out in the open. "It's just a hobby," he said, trying to deflect the attention. "I didn't mean to make it public." Rachel raised a hand, stopping him. "Don't worry, Harold. This could be the company's next big move." Harold's mind raced. He wasn't sure if he wanted the garden to become a corporate spectacle. The garden was his sanctuary, his escape, and the idea of it being used as a tool for publicity made him uneasy. The next day, an email from Edward Grant arrived in Harold's inbox. The subject line read, "Corporate Garden Project, a new initiative." Harold's stomach churned. He wasn't sure what the email meant, but it was clear his secret garden was no longer his alone. The company had decided to transform the rooftop into a public-facing wellness garden, where employees could go to relax, de-stress, and get a breath of fresh air away from their office cubicles. Harold was instructed to continue taking care of the garden, but now it would be part of the company's official wellness initiative. As news of the transformation spread, Harold's garden quickly gained attention. It became a symbol of hope and positivity in a company struggling with layoffs and uncertain futures. The media caught wind of the garden's success, and it soon became a talking point at conferences and in business circles. But with the attention came pressure. Harold's once quiet retreat was now filled with people, cameras, and visitors. Every time he stepped onto the roof, it felt as if his personal space was being invaded. The garden, which had once been his escape, was now an employee lounge, a corporate tool, and a symbol of the company's efforts to improve morale. It was another late evening when Harold climbed the steps to the roof, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibilities. The garden had become a part of his routine, but the joy he once found there had been replaced by a sense of duty. As he arrived, he noticed a familiar figure standing among the plants. It was Edward Grant, the company's CEO, the very man who had turned his private oasis into a public spectacle. Harold froze, surprised to see him at such a late hour. "Mr. Grant," Harold said quietly, trying to hide his discomfort. "I didn't expect to see you here." Edward turned around, a thoughtful look on his face. "I couldn't sleep," he said, his voice carrying a weight of contemplation. "I've been thinking a lot about this garden and how it's changed everything. But, Harold, I can see it's taking a toll on you." Harold's eyes widened. He wasn't sure how much Edward knew, but there was no denying the strain he felt. "I didn't ask for this," Harold admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "It was never about fame or attention. It was just my space, my escape." Edward nodded, understanding. "I get it," he said. "But what you've created here, it's special. And it's become more than just a garden. It's a symbol of what we've all been missing. We've been so caught up in the corporate grind, Harold. This garden is a reminder that we can still find peace and beauty in the chaos. I've been thinking, maybe it's time to let go of the corporate branding. Let this place be what it was meant to be, yours." Edward's words hit Harold hard. For the first time in weeks, he felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps it wasn't too late to reclaim the garden and return to the solitude he once cherished. Edward had been right, the garden had become a symbol, but not just for the company, it was a symbol of Harold's resilience and ability to create beauty amidst adversity. With Edward's blessing, Harold made the decision to scale back the corporate initiative. the garden would no longer be open to the entire staff. Instead, it would become a quiet retreat for a select few, a place where employees could reconnect with themselves, away from the pressures of their demanding jobs. Harold sent an email to Rachel Simmons, explaining the shift. To his surprise, she understood. She, too, had been feeling the strain of the company's new direction and agreed that Harold's garden should be a place of peace, not corporate spectacle. As the months passed, the garden continued to thrive, not only as a sanctuary for Harold but also as a symbol of the company's renewed focus on balance and well-being. Employees began to take their breaks there, finding moments of solace amidst their hectic schedules. The garden became a metaphor for what Harold had always believed, that amidst the chaos, there is always room for growth, peace, and beauty. Harold's life also began to change. With the pressure lifted, he found himself reconnecting with the people around him. His colleagues started to see him not just as a quiet, unassuming security guard but as someone with deep wisdom and a unique perspective on life. Harold's story inspired many, and his quiet actions spoke louder than any words ever could. As the garden flourished, so did Harold's sense of purpose. He realized that sometimes, the greatest transformations happen not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, subtle ways we choose to make the world a better place. Thank you for joining us in Harold's journey. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story and want to hear more tales of resilience, kindness, and unexpected transformations, be sure to subscribe to Touching Tales. Don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Harold's story. Leave a thoughtful comment below and share how you find peace in your own life. Let's continue to inspire and grow together.